Black lives fucking matter, they really fucking do. And if you respond with all lives matter, then this song is for you. If you just take a goddamn second and open up your eyes, you'd see the fucked up injustice that's been done to black lives. We know that all lives matter, that's just fucking common sense. But we gotta stop ignoring minority systemic racism. Imagine going certain places and getting racist glares just because your skin color's fucking darker than theirs. Don't ignorantly say that rioters speak for BLM. You might as well say jihadists, terrorists represent Islam. They don't. We're goddamn people that just want equal treatment and dignity. We're all beautiful, but ignorance will make you butt-ass ugly.
Okay, TikTok, I'm pissed. See this beautiful woman here? Her name is Taylor Enterline. Taylor got arrested during the protest for Black Lives Matter, and Taylor was put in jail with $1 million bond. $1 million bond. Now you see this piece of shit? This is Riley June Williams. She stormed the Capitol with all the brilliant Trumpers. She stole Nancy Pelosi's laptop, too. Yep, was going to sell it to the Russians, but we see she got caught. Riley June Williams got to go home in the custody of her mother. Don't tell me white privilege doesn't exist. Don't tell me there is no racism. Stop telling me and start doing something about it.
I don't even know how to approach this. He literally screamed, "You're treating me like a black person." That just shows that people like him know how black people are being treated, and they still decide to make Black Lives Matter all about them and turn it into All Lives Matter. But All Lives Matter doesn't seem to apply to black people, does it? And another thing, this guy actually did a terrorist attack on our Capitol. He deserved to be handled and treated like that. Black people get treated like that sometimes just for walking down the street and being black because they look suspicious. Why do they look suspicious? Because of the color of their skin. And that's how they get treated. And this guy's screaming like a fucking baby, "Oh, you're treating me like a black person." So you feel like you should be treated better than a black person? Is that what you're saying? Because you're white? Or you guys don't see how fucked up that is?
Trump's no longer president, that bitch is finally out. And it doesn't matter how much he complains or whines or pouts. His company is tanking and his friends have all left him. And there's about an 80% chance that he'll end up in prison. These past 4 years have been shitty for us all, but especially if you're black, gay, brown, Muslim, female, or had any kind of disability. And to all the Trump supporters that just fucking kissed his ass, how does it feel to love someone that doesn't give a shit about you back? Cause while you were storming the Capitol yelling Trump 2020, Trump was asking why his supporters look so poor and disgusting. So we can all take a fucking breath and know that from now on, America will not be led by an orange Donkey Kong.
Black people protest for their right to not be murdered in the streets, in front of their children and in their beds. And there's tear gas and curfews and shootings and people are unlawfully arrested. Protesters were labelled as savages. Yet when armed white supremacists stormed the Capitol building, smashing windows, waving Confederate flags, overwhelming security to oppose an election where there's no evidence of fraud, they're labelled patriots. They take selfies with the security inside the building that they forcefully entered. Now let's be clear, what happened yesterday were not protests. This is what terrorism with white privilege looks like. But they can't be right. Surely terrorists are only people of colour and Muslims. That's what the media tells us anyway. Well, for as long as I can remember, the biggest threat for terrorism in America has always been white supremacy. And the reason why it was so easy for Trump supporters to get past security and police officers is because they're all on the same side.
You know what? You're right. I wasn't there. You are absolutely right. The same way you weren't there for the Black Death. The same way you weren't there for the Civil War. The same way you weren't there for World War I. The same way you weren't there for the Great Depression. The same way you weren't there for World War II. The same way you weren't there for the Holocaust. The same way you weren't there for 9/11. So what you're saying is we need to forget about slavery because we never experienced it. We should just sweep it under the rug and pretend it didn't happen while everything else is never forget. You're saying that just because we weren't alive during that time, we can't also experience and visualize the trauma? Even though you weren't alive when these events took place, you're still taught about them in school. Do you even know why they teach history? The whole reason we're taught history is so we can learn from the past mistakes of others, so we can improve our decision making for the future so we don't make those same mistakes. But you don't want that, right? You think it's better to just forget about everything and pretend it didn't happen.
This guy right here been looking for my attention. Now you got it. You saying you would never claim Africans. Me, personally, I don't care. Because I'm a grandson of a village chief. My blood is royal. I don't have a drop of white blood. Never had. Never do. You saying that you proud to be American. I respect that. But I want to tell you this. Something that your parents should have told you. You're American, my friend, by birth. You're American because you was born in this land. So, the same way as white people, you will always be an immigrant in any place you will ever be. You will always be an immigrant. You could go to Mexico. You could go to Canada. You could go to China. You could go to Europe. You always gonna be an immigrant. The only land you will always feel at home will be in your homeland, Africa.
I would like to talk to the white people, please. We got some things to talk about, because y'all are giving us a bad name. We already have a pretty bad rep, if you hadn't noticed. So, when black creators come on here and tell you that you don't have a functional white culture in America, you don't. It's not an attack, it's just a fact. Stop being so goddamn defensive. There's no reason for it. Did you ever think for a second that they're saving us a massive embarrassment? Because there's nothing to be proud of in being white and American, okay? There's a lot that you can be proud of in being Swedish or Irish or Norwegian or French, because those countries weren't founded on stealing culture for hundreds of years like we were. Are you proud of the KKK? Because that was us. Are you proud of slavery? Because that was us. Are you proud of genocides to Native American tribes in the lands that you actively still sit on? Are you proud of stealing land from the ones that do exist and denying them clean drinking water? Are you proud of calling the police on black people knowing they can be shot on sight? Are you proud of the fact that white people make up that same police force shooting black people on sight? Are you proud?
Question: what is the proper way for black people to protest in America? Colin Kaepernick, he took a knee. That was deemed unpatriotic. That man lost his fucking job for doing that shit. We protested peacefully in the street, marching. That shit was deemed unpatriotic. Black Lives Matter was called a terrorist group. But then for some reason, when motherfuckers stormed the Capitol building, scaring senators, beating up the same cops they told us to fucking respect, they were deemed patriotic. America, I'm tired of the double standard and hypocrisy. No one is saying that violence is right, but for some reason, violence is only right when it's done by white people. Last summer, we said that we were being abused by a tyrannical government. You're saying the same shit now, but it's only acceptable when you do it? That is some bullshit, and I'm tired of the fuck shit, America.